one.
I've got bad news. You're gonna have to start all over again. I forgot to press the go live button. Here's Leanne Mole. All right, so we're gonna start the show again as if nothing happened. All right, everybody, just pretend everything's perfectly normal. Nothing started yet. We're just gonna start properly. All right. So morning, everybody. It's August 28th. It's live. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. This is partly because there's no James this morning, so I had to start the show myself, and I forgot to press the one button. So here we are, and Leanne was just telling us there's some breaking news. So okay, pick it up where we left off on breaking news. What's happening?
Okay, there is currently a partial lunar eclipse underway, which you
Ooh.
can view from your very abode in South Africa. A lunar eclipse, just to remind you, would be the sun first, then the earth, and the earth casting a shadow onto the moon. So what you'll see is a bit of a sliver going on, and I do have the precise times that you'll be able to view that. You will be able to see it from South Africa right now, but the times that it'll be at its peak will be Johannesburg at 6:27 this morning, in Durban at 6:18 this morning, so you have only a few minutes before it's at its peak. Cape Town can sleep in a little. 7:13 is when the peak is there. And out of our kind of timeline, Antananarivo would be the first to see it at
Yeah,
6:01.
you don't have to worry. Cape Town will be sleeping in anyway. That always happens,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure. So I wonder, I'd love to know what it looks like. And also, is this going to be a battle of the Samsungs versus the iPhones in getting a good photograph?
Oh, definitely. This is the whole reason. It's not for selfies and filters with, high school girls. The whole reason we have camera phones competing with each other is for the total lunar eclipse. So yeah, today's the day. And we got a heads up on this with Prof. David Block not so long ago. So now you
Right.
know it's actually happening. So if anybody is out and about and you can take a picture of that and send it to us, please do. Just send it to Gareth or J9 at garethcliff.com, and we will pop it up on the screen so everybody who is too busy or they're stuck somewhere or they're in a boring meeting already at 6:28. I mean, there are people who do this. I had a meeting on Friday last week, Leanne, at 5 in the afternoon.
No, that's basically Monday.
Yes, on a
Goodness
Friday
me.
afternoon at 5 o'clock. Yeah.
I'm sure the
Uh,
energy was low.
no, there were Americans involved. So from a
Ah.
time zone point of view, it worked for them. Didn't work so well for me, but I mean, how often does that happen? It wasn't the end of the world. So, what's news with you? Besides your lunar
Mm.
eclipse, which is going to completely transform you into a werewolf.
Yeah, I'm trying to stifle the nail growth as we speak. Um, no, just still menopausing along.
Oh Jesus,
I,
is that not part of your identity?
well, the thing is, it's become part of my bank account. That's for sure.
What do you mean?
Well, hormone replacement therapy is like through the roof. It's super expensive, and all the things that you've got to have done and tests. And I did not know about this. My mom went through menopause very quietly, thank you, very gracefully, no hoo ha. But now that everybody knows everything and research is what it is, it's a big thing. I think my medication this month, including everything else, was 12,000 rand.
Well, is it worth it? I mean,
Well, nothing's really, had a big change yet. It's all still in the beginning, but it will, and I hope so because I've been in the foulest mood.
no, but you've
With
been like that for 14 years. Let's not, please. I mean, come on. Um, Funny, I saw some research. I don't think it's recent, but they did some studies at I think Maastricht University about testosterone in men. Turns out, I mean, it's a small sample. It's not by any means conclusive, but there's sometimes these things prove something, and then later on, bigger surveys prove that it was actually right. If you give men extra testosterone, they become less dishonest. They become more honest. So
ah,
yeah. So,
I would have thought.
despite the fact testosterone gets all this bad rep for being, aggression inducing and leading to bar fights and extramarital affairs and God knows what else. But apparently, testosterone, certainly from this study, and it's a small study, but it counts, apparently encourages those men to be more honest. It has an effect, a measurable effect. What do you think of that?
I honestly thought it would be the opposite. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And we also forget that testosterone has a role to play in women's lives as well, and hormonal balance. And what's been interesting for me in this process has been the reminder of the weird ways that you take hormones. So, for instance, I remember having a testosterone low like 2 decades ago, and
I
the
remember that
remedy.
you became very feminine. You became very sweet and gentle. And then as soon as you got your testosterone, Jesus, you were ungovernable.
Remember, I was knitting everywhere I went. So, and that was weird because that is a cream that you put under your feet, and it felt
Oh,
almost
really?
like it felt homeopathic, but it was an actual doctor. Now, the estrogen, there are a number of ways of taking it, but one of them is a gel that you rub on the inside of your arm. I'm like,
Oh,
is
well,
this stuff real?
at least, hey, listen, at least it's not a suppository, huh? I mean,
Oh no,
there's
well,
always a
there are
worse,
those,
there's always a
there are
worse way
those,
to take medicine, and suppository seems to me to be the worst one.
oh, there are those too, but in the other direction, you know. So very, very strange. And then having to have um, the Mirena inserted as well for progesterone. Anyway,
Hey,
it's all
listen,
happening.
I am so grateful to be a man. I don't have to worry about that shit. And anything that happens with men, it happens on the outside, so we can see it and we know how to deal with it. And with you girls, it's a whole lot harder. It's a whole lot more difficult. It
I
is.
see a limited edition asking, can you hear this car? Hang on.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It has one
Where are
gear.
you? Are you near Kailami?
No, I mean, I'm in the burbs, but it's this
Okay.
car that comes by at about 6:15 every morning, and it's only got one gear. There's something wrong with it. So it just
Oh, I
goes in
drove I
first.
drove past a
Can't.
car. I drove past a car yesterday, and the guy, it was whistling. It was going like, and I thought, what the fuck is that noise? I actually wound down all my windows, and I was like, is that coming from me? And then as it drove away, it went into the distance, which was hilarious.
Um,
Yeah, very,
so
very
no,
funny.
not sick, just menopause. Thanks for asking, limited edition.
Yeah. Here's a good one from Khalas, who says, how do you make a hormone?
Don't pay her.
Yeah, very nice. All right, so listen, I've got some fun for us this morning because, I mean, first of all, remember last time we played a game? It was Dead or Alive.
And yes, fittingly this
Yeah,
week.
I mean, what a shit week, honestly. Like, I'm not one of those people who, I don't really care much for the obituary. Everyone's going to die at some point, but we lost two brilliant, what was certainly one absolute mega, mega superstar, universally loved, just one of the most incredible people on planet Earth. How lucky we were to have lived at a time where Dolly Parton was alive. But Tim Curry's also dead. There he is. There he is looking his best. Frightening.
Yeah.
So Tim Curry, and of course, famous from the Rocky Horror Picture Show and a ton of movies. I mean, like everybody who's basically Tim Curry was like a fixture and such a talented human being, too. He died at exactly the same age as Dolly Parton. I've got a couple of clips of Dolly. Do you want to see those or do you want to play Would You Rather?
Before
You
we
can
before
decide.
we get before we get to Dolly and
Yeah.
more along the lines of that, um, a number of remember Tim Curry was in Home Alone.
Yes.
He was in Home Alone. Catherine
Yeah.
O'Hara was in Home Alone as well, and
Yeah.
Brenda
She was
Fricker.
Moira from Schitt's Creek as well.
Yes, and then Brenda Fricker was the pigeon lady. All
Oh
three of
shit.
those
That's
people
Piers
died
Morgan.
this year. Hmm?
That wasn't the pigeon lady Piers Morgan?
I don't
Pretty
know.
sure
Home
it
Alone
was.
2. So these are all Home Alone cast members who have all died this year.
Well, Macaulay Culkin shouldn't go buying any green bananas.
Well, do you know who else is in there?
Who?
A certain Mr. Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump, and he's also 80 years old. I think he's 80.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I do want to get back to Dolly quickly because I know you love a conspiracy theory, and if you reckon that the whole Home Alone crew's been targeted by death, there's a very funny meme that I saw this week of like some old lady with a shotgun and death with its scythe and its like hood and everything comes through the door, and then she blows it away with a shotgun, and it says underneath, "Sure, waiting at home for death." So the Grim Reaper to come and get her and blowing it away. All right, so here a couple of things from Dolly that I just thought were very beautiful. I mean, first of all, this woman had such personality. It worries me. I don't want to sound like one of those people who thinks that the best era of entertainment is over, but I think it's very hard to argue otherwise at the moment. I still listen to new music. I mean, our producer Janine puts out new music every week on her social media, and I pay attention to that. I want to know what's going on. I do try to see, a new movie every now and then. I'm paying attention, but I've got to say, like the characters that we had when I was a kid and a teenager just seemed so much fuller and more real and just better at almost everything. They could do a ton of stuff. Here's Dolly talking about her personality and how people always say she's nice. And
Mhm.
I had a teacher at primary school who said nice is the most awful description you could give anybody because it means basically you're really boring and people can't think of anything good or bad to say about you. So they just say, oh, well, he's nice or she's nice. So here's Dolly uh, just dealing with
Now,
that.
I am just who I am. I'm not
Okay.
always nice. I'm a person. I want to be nice. I choose to be good. I choose to have a good attitude. You have to work hard at all that. There are times I don't feel good, and there are some people that just really get under your skin. And there are times when I can tell you where to put it if I don't like where you
have a
got
temper?
it, so to
You got a
speak.
temper?
Oh, yeah, I don't lose my temper often, but I use it sometimes. And I always know, it's like there's some things you can't let some people get away with, or they will. So don't you ever think that I'm a pushover. But I'm always honest. I'm always upfront about it. I'll say whatever's on my mind. I'm not one of those people that just you have to say I'm nice all the time or it's going to hurt my feelings. Because I want people to know I am a girl of many colors. I really am.
I mean, she was superb. She was an actress, singer, songwriter. I mean, just in the songwriting category, she like beats the competition to death with a baseball bat. And she was such a philanthropist too, universally loved. I mentioned that at the beginning of the show this morning. And
Mm,
there even in South Africa,
yes.
I've bumped into people in the last 2 or 3 days, and like everybody is really, really sad about Dolly Parton going. I mean, kids grew up with her music, whether they were black, white, colored, Indian. It's like it's just universal. This woman was probably one of the last truly great superstars. And I see somebody mentions here that Dolly once lost a lookalike competition, a Dolly lookalike competition. Same
Yes.
thing happened to Elvis. And I don't know
Yes.
whether these things are urban legend or whether they're true, but CNN this week in their memorial, their tribute to Dolly Parton, they actually had like footage of a Dolly impersonator, and they didn't realize someone had to correct it afterwards. And like put up a
Oh,
picture of,
yes.
I don't know, it was like a drag queen or some terrible looking person, and they thought it was Dolly along with the actual pictures of her, which is awful. Here's a clip. I found there were some beautiful tributes that went around on the internet. I don't know if you saw some of those. Did you?
I've seen a few, yes, but not really any good ones.
Well, let me show you this is cute. This is Kenny Rogers singing, and then Dolly comes in, and you just got to see his expression here. I mean, she's just phenomenal. Take a look.
Why don't you stay?
Deep in my soul, I feel all of my love
So here we are now. Why should we worry? Look at the stars, girl, so far away.
Now we got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, babe. Why don't we stay?
Oh, man. Unbelievable. She went on a couple of talk shows. Obviously, she was on many of them during the course of her life. One of the famous lines I remember her saying was to, I think it was David Letterman. She said, "It costs a lot of money to look this cheap." She was amazing.
I was just checking her date of death. It was the 25th. I was wondering if it had happened on your birthday, because I think I
Oh, no,
remember.
no. But Tim Curry, Tim Curry saved himself for my birthday, which I appreciated. You know, it's very nice of him. Yeah.
Happy birthday
Here's
for
Dolly.
DC. I just wanted to say,
Thank you.
I looked at my calendar, saw your birthday coming up, and remembered that my phone doesn't remind me anymore. So finally fixed that, and it didn't remind me of yours.
Well,
So
it's fine.
happy
You know, I
belated
keep
birthday.
I keep a list of all the shit people who didn't message me for my birthday, and now there's a hit on you. I've got a mafia hitman who's out to take out the people who forgot my birthday. So that, but otherwise, I'm fine about it. Don't worry, it's cool.
I've only missed 2 of yours in all the years.
Yeah, you're on the shit list now. There's nothing we can do for you. So here we go. Here's another thing I want you to see. I love this woman. And here she is with Stephen Colbert. And you know what's amazing about a truly brilliant superstar? And there are very few of those in the whole world and throughout time, is that they can on a whim, like they could suddenly just sing something a cappella while they're being interviewed, and it gives you goosebumps. And she did that here. She's talking about her mother. You know, she grew up in a cabin with like 2 or 3 rooms, and she had 10 siblings. I think it was 10 or 12, and you know, dirt poor. Like they had no money. And by the time she died, she was worth, I don't know, close to $1 billion, and she had given away maybe 2/3 of her fortune over the course of her life. She'd started programs where like 2 kids in every Tennessee school would pair up. And if they both got to graduate, she'd give them $1,000 or $500, whatever the amount was. If either of them failed, neither of them got money. So they supported each other. And she drove up the pass rate in Tennessee from some astronomical figure. I think it was 40. There was a 40% fail rate. And she got it to like 8% with just that program. Every time there was a hurricane or a flood or a fire or whatever happened in not just Tennessee, North Carolina, she'd just pile in and help. She wrote checks for like $1 million to charities, started a library because her dad couldn't read. I mean, a phenomenal woman, and just a good human. Like no, you couldn't get her down. Some guy tried to, I think it was CBS TV. They tried to like nail her down on politics once, and she went, "Oh no." They were trying to get her to say something about how she shouldn't like Donald Trump, right? And she said, "Oh no. You can't ask me about politics. I don't get involved in politics because then I'm going to upset some of my fans. They might be big fans of that politician. I don't get involved." She said, "You better ask me stupid questions because I ain't going to answer anything clever." Phenomenal. Here she is with Colbert. Look
Mama
at
used
this.
to sing all those old songs brought over from the old world. It was a song she used to sing called "Bury Me Beneath the Willow." It was about a girl that was going to get married, and her boyfriend left her at the altar, whatever. So she died, of course. She killed herself, I suppose. So it says, "Bury me beneath the willow, under the weeping willow tree, where he may know where I am sleeping, and perhaps he'll weep for me." So anyway, there's more to it, but anyway, it was about her thinking today was our wedding day, but where, oh, where can he be? He's gone to seek him another bride. He cares no more for me. And then it goes, "Are you crying? Oh, bury me beneath the willow, under the weeping willow tree, where he may know where I am sleeping, and perhaps he'll weep for me. So I better hush before you cry yourself to death and we can't finish the show.
I'm just
But I'll
saying,
tell you, that's
like a
what
lot
we-
of Americans, I'm under a lot of stress right now, Dolly.
Amazing, right? Just amazing.
Limited edition again, saying she looks like she underwent lip surgery. I don't think that's the only surgery, but it is probably the first time somebody mentioned the lips and not the boobs.
I mean, listen, they're very funny memes going around about the coffin with the big space for the tits and everything. And she would have laughed at that. She didn't take herself super seriously. She had a great sense of humor, as you could see even in that last clip. But what a talent. I mean, the songs this chick wrote, Whitney Houston's most famous song ever. And Whitney Houston, in my opinion, is probably one of the greatest singers that ever lived, without exception. I mean, in terms of female vocalists, she's right up there. You would have to put up a damn fine argument for someone else. But the song that really cracked everybody open in the 90s, it was played so much on the radio that I think it still holds the record. There were mornings I would go to school and that fucking song would play twice in one morning because it was so popular. It was I Would Always Love You, right? Which is from the Bodyguard movie, which Whitney was in as an actress. But Dolly wrote that song.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
she probably made more money out of Whitney singing that song than she made out of singing it herself. And she didn't mind. She was like, oh, no, I love Whitney. She's great. She did. There was no ego. She was just lovely. But her own music, I mean, her own songs, she brought out so many albums. She wrote beautiful music, sang along with all the greats. You saw there with Kenny Rogers just now. But, I mean, she sang with, Peabo Bryson and Julio Iglesias and just all the big names in music. She was just phenomenal. Here she is doing, this is my favorite Dolly song. And I mean, you see how good she is. Like, she's on the money with every note. She plays with it. She's just phenomenal.
Here you come again, just when I've begun to get myself together. You waltz right in the door, just like you've done before, and you wrap my heart around your little finger. Here you come again, oh, just when I'm about to make it work without you. You look into my eyes and lie those pretty lies, till pretty soon I'm wondering how I came to doubt you. All you gotta do is smile that smile, and there go all my defenses. Just leave it up to you, and in a little while you're messing up my mind and filling up my senses. Here you come again.
Yeah. My producer Janine says that she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same night. Holy hell.
Wow.
What a talent.
What a night.
What a talent, right? Did you see King Charles's tribute to her, Ass?
No, I did
Oh,
not.
this is cute. This is cute. Look. There was also a terrific meme that somebody sent me of some guy who just messaged a chick, and on her profile picture it says Jolene, right? And she's like some American lady, probably her 50s or 60s, and it just says Jolene. And then he said to her, listen, if I find out you had anything to do with Dolly Parton's death, you better watch out. I'm sending people. And then she replies like, who the fuck are you? What? Who is Dolly? What are you doing? He's like, oh, sorry, wrong bitch.
Oh, jeez.
I got to show you one more. I know this is,
Yeah.
but she performed with Ladysmith Black Mambazo once. She did Peace Train with them. Did you see that?
I don't remember that.
Okay, just for you.
Now I've been happy lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one, and I believe it could be someday it's going to come. 'Cause out on the edge of darkness there rides a peace train.
You know what I love is there's this new way of paying tribute to someone when they've died, which I don't know if everybody else is aware of this pattern, but it started to happen probably about 10, 15 years ago, once the internet made it possible for you to see an immediate reaction to something, right? And I think 12 of Dolly's hits are currently in the top 20 on all the charts all over the world. So Apple Music, Spotify, all of those things. So she's just like rushed to the top because people, when somebody dies, they're like, oh my God, I've got to rediscover all her music. And people are listening to that at unbelievable exponential rates. It's just great. I mean, it's a cute way of kind of making a tribute, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, my Office of Gen Zs and just how they are reminiscent of her songs right now as well.
No.
And a lot of people who are really young will want to hear her songs because they hadn't heard them before. So that happens too. So it's like a whole resurgence. It's really great.
Peter Cullen also passed away. He's the voice of the Predator and of Optimus Prime from those things.
Those things.
Those things. I never really got into that, but yeah, there it is. She recorded over 1,000 songs, says Michael. Dolly. Wow. This is just the cutest of all. This is like her goodbye, which people, she apparently died peacefully in her sleep, and her family came out and made the announcement, and all very, very dignified and entirely appropriate for a woman who was married to one man for years. When his name was Carl. When he died, she was absolutely distraught. He didn't die that long ago, and just a moral exemplar, a philanthropist, a songwriter, a serious talent, funny, cute, didn't take herself too seriously. She loved dressing up. I've told you before, didn't I, that when Dolly Parton would go to the shops, she wouldn't wear a blonde wig, and she wouldn't dress up and put on all the makeup and everything else, and people didn't recognize her. She'd go to her local shops, and people wouldn't know it was Dolly because she didn't tart up like she did for the stage, which is just amazing. Again, she wasn't that to me is the distinction between like an attention seeker, someone who's constantly looking for approval from people, and somebody who's a show person. They know when people are paying money to see you perform, or when you have to go and do publicity, or you have to entertain people. She would dress up, she'd go to the trouble, she'd put on a show, she'd be at her best. But around, the family and friends and just being a normal woman, a wife, she would never do any of that for attention. She wouldn't come out with her tits out for attention. She was just a normal lady. Phenomenal. What a human being. So here's the final one, and then we're going to move on to Would You Rather, because I got some rude ones to ask you this morning.
And before I go, I'd just like to say this to you. Forgive all who have offended you, not only for them,
but for yourself. And also, I hope life will treat you real kind. And I hope that you have all that you ever dreamed of. Oh, I do wish you joy. I wish you lots and lots of happiness. But you know what? Above all of this, I wish you love. Oh, and I will always love you. I will always.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, what a sweetheart. This is a gorgeous little picture that someone posted as well of her like walking off into the distance with her guitar.
Oh,
Cute, huh?
yeah.
Very, very cute. All right, you ready for some would you rather? Let's become the animals that we are and just go straight from
Okay.
the sublime to the ridiculous. Are you ready for this?
I hope so.
You all ready for this?
It's too unlimited, wasn't it?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Oh, Ass, just before we do that, this is right up your alley. There is an integrative mental health symposium happening that I need to tell you about.
Goodness me.
Yeah, this is right up your street.
Yeah.
There are leading experts from South Africa, Australia, India, and the United States who will explore the future of brain health, resilience, and human performance. So it's not just for people who have mental health issues. This is about
Yes.
what the future could do in terms of mental
And
health. So
brain health, which is,
yes,
that was the one thing that I learned through my mum's journey with when she'd had a stroke and dealing with neuroscientists, neurologists, and neurosurgeons. It's an endless topic. It's an endless study, the study of the brain.
Yeah. And we still don't know. We still don't know half the stuff we should know about the brain.
It's just so exciting and endless, possibilities and opportunities and discussions and surveys and research.
So this is hosted by a pharmaceutical group called Natroceutics, which is a CPD. You know what? The cannabinoids and the CPD.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is, or else it could be some other kind of accreditation. But it will take place in Cape Town on Saturday, this Saturday, tomorrow, and in Johannesburg on Sunday. And it's at the Marriott Crystal Towers in Century City in Cape Town, and in Joburg it's happening at the Bryanston Country Club. So if you want to go along, it's from 9:30 until 4 at the Bryanston Country Club. And I'm telling you about this because we're going to be speaking to the one guy who's presenting at the symposium. He is a global human performance expert, international best-selling author, leadership and resilience strategist, and founder and CEO of Sutton Health. And lessons from the world's greatest performers is one of his topics he's going to be talking on. His name is Richard Sutton. Very interesting guy. Then there are a couple other doctors who are going to be there. It's fascinating. So if you want to know a little bit more, you can go to the link which we've put up on the screen here. All the details are on too, and we'll put it in the description. So you can go and check that out. And then when we have Richard Sutton on and you have any questions for him, you can bring them to us. All right. You ready for a little would you rather, some stupidity for this morning?
Okay, go for it.
Okay, let's see. We've got for our first would you rather question. Here we go. Would you rather wake up every morning as a different age, somewhere between 5 and 80, or wake up every morning in a different country with no warning?
Oh,
What do you say?
come on
Gotta
now. We
choose.
can all adapt. We can all adapt to whatever country we're in.
Yeah. Well, good luck if you're in Haiti or Somalia, but yeah. You won't make it through the day.
I don't know if I'd be happy one day not being able to walk because I'm a baby, and then the next day having excruciating back pain. It's too much of a difference.
I think I'd choose the age thing. Hey, I would rather have that than
Really?
wake up in yeah, because you could wake up in an absolute shithole country and then you are truly in trouble,
But you're only
massive
there for the
trouble.
day.
Um, yeah, and the next day, I mean, you're going to remember what it was like to be 80. I think it would be fascinating to have an age thing because you'd also explore all the different ages, and you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh yes, I'm in my 40s or my 20s or my 30s. The next day, you're like, ah, fuck, I'm 5. But you have the same brain, right?
So you know that you're 5. Are you consciously aware as you are now that you are 5, or do you just
I think you're
know?
aware. Well, you would know. No, you would know. I mean, look, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5 years old. You are aware of like your age. Five is not. You're not stupid at 5 years old. And 80. Let's imagine you have the same brain you have now. Does that make it more interesting?
Yeah, it might. It
Yeah,
might,
I
but
think then
I'm
it
still
could
gonna
be
choose
quite fun.
country.
And you look in the mirror, you could see what you look like at 83 or whatever it is, and at you can go back in time. I think it would be fascinating to do that. Wake up. You can wake up in another country every day if you just earn enough money and you just travel for the rest of your life. That's no massive magic. I want to go with the
It's true.
magic, man.
Yeah, it is something that money could buy.
Yeah. So I don't know if James is putting this poll up for you to join in on this morning because I would kind of like to know what everybody else is saying about it. And if you have voted in the poll, then James, send me the results so I can read those out. Let's go to another one. This is cool. Would you rather have a tail that shows your mood like a dog's, or ears that visibly perk up when you hear something interesting or you're interested in somebody?
I I don't mind the mood thing because I kind of wear that on my sleeve anyway.
Didn't you have a vestigial tail? I think you did.
No, I had a third leg, Gareth. You'd get
Oh, that's
confused.
right. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I knew there was something wrong with you. I just couldn't remember what it was. Um, Khalis says that different ages will be very painful. Different country might be hard, but the next day you wake up somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, you have to stay alive for 24 hours in Port-au-Prince in Haiti. No, thank you. I'd rather take my chances of the age thing. Definitely is, says Maddie. Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, if people know that you're interested in a subject or you're interested in them because your ears go like, I don't know, lift up or something. I think that's not the worst thing in the world. I'd go with that one. I wouldn't want a tail. Tail would be weird.
Giving away your emotions.
Yeah, no, but you do either way. Both of them do, right? But
They're all both very sort of honest reflex actions.
yeah, I'm okay with that. So here are the results on our poll for the different age and different country. It's split right down the middle, 41 to 59%. Okay, country wins
Wow.
by a little bit, but I mean that's as close as damn it, if you ask me. All right, so we'll keep you informed as we go, but you can join in on the poll as well, so we can get you in these. Would you rather sweat maple syrup or cry glitter?
Ah, crying glitter, of course.
But wouldn't it be sore because it's solid?
Yeah, but then sweating maple syrup would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you'd need to shower every, I don't know, 10 minutes, but maple syrup ain't so bad.
No, showering glitter. I mean, crying glitter would be amazing. Imagine
You
you're having
reckon?
this really big, ugly cry and you're just spouting forth glitter.
Okay, I'm going to go with sweating maple syrup. You're going to go with crying glitter. I'm amazed at how different our answers are. Would you
Yeah.
rather, would you rather never be able to use social media again or never be able to watch another movie or TV show?
Oh, social media, I'd give up immediately.
You would? Straight away, huh? No hesitation?
Yeah, 100%. And it's so weird because it's what pays my bills.
Uh-huh. Yeah. At least you don't stink with syrup to our previous one, says Maddie, which is quite right. See, that the stink would glitter coming out of my eyes. I think that would be very frightening.
But you'd also get sick of that sickly sweet smell. It would be like, oh, can smell Garrett's around again.
Ugh, Tracy says, imagine the menopausal night sweats. Ugh.
You
With
wouldn't be
maple,
able to get
and
out
it's
of bed in the
maple
morning.
syrup. I mean, listen, your bed, you'd have to change your sheets every day. Imagine how sticky. Ugh, actually, I'm starting to think you were right about the glitter. Okay, so here's the latest. We've got 100% of people already saying that they'd rather give up social media. So
Yeah.
again, that's almost well, it is unanimous. There's nobody who's voted for movies and TV. You want another
Wow.
one?
Yeah, go for it.
Would you rather get a good blowjob from your grandma or a bad blowjob from your grandma?
Oh, no, that's not comparison.
Okay, well, I'll exempt you from this one, but what a question.
Oh, no. I'm so glad I didn't have to even think about it.
Oh, we don't need to do a poll on that one, James. Would you rather be the ugliest person in the world or smell the worst?
Smell the worst, because then you could probably still have things like online relationships. And I don't mean of like just the loving kind, but you could you could have relationships and kind of function in society by being online. That's if social media is not taken away.
I'm not so sure, hey. I'm not so sure. All right, I'm going to stop
You'd rather
this
be
nonsense.
ugly.
Otherwise, I'm going to stop this nonsense. We could play this game all day, and it is fun, but we've got things to do and people to see and places to go. That's a good question, Tracy. Does Nana still have teeth for the good or bad blowjob? I don't know. Well, maybe we should ask our next guest. Okay, I've discovered something which I think will be very, very handy and useful to people. You remember in the news when all the xenophobic stuff was going on? People were very worried about if their domestic worker was from another country, for example, whether they had their papers, whether they were going to get into trouble. Did you also have lots of people asking you about that?
Yeah, and people were worried, of course, about being fined a lot of money.
Yeah. Right. And you know, domestic workers are such a part of everybody's life in South Africa. It used to be something that was a very middle class concern, but even relatively poor people in South Africa sometimes have a domestic worker to help them with the kids, the cooking, the cleaning. I mean, you've got people who live in very small places in quite poor parts of the country who still have a domestic worker. So it's now a kind of South African universal. I think it's one of the biggest categories of employment in the whole country as well. We'll talk about that with an expert in a second. But there's a guy called Peter Adolphs, and I'm sure you've heard of askmandla.com. You heard about it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, you have. You see, you're very well informed, Leanne. Well, I also knew about this probably, I don't know, a couple of months ago I found out about it. But Ask Mandla does an amazing thing. It digitizes contracts, helps you with payroll processing, compliance, and leave management for your domestic worker, which is tremendous because it helps you to formalize and get all those documents in order so you know what's going on, so that you can't have some labor inspector or whatever pitch up at your house and say, oh, but you haven't paid your UIF this month and now we're going to, I don't know, fine you 100,000 Rand, like you said, or put you in jail or whatever. So Pete has managed to figure out for us all of this stuff, and he's made our lives a lot easier. So I'm very happy to have him on this morning. Hello, Pete. How are you?
I'm great, guys. How are you? How you all doing?
Very, very well. I'm sorry you had to sit through those ridiculous would you rather polls just now.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't ask me about my grandmother, so thanks so much.
Yeah, no, don't worry. We're not going to put you in that position. All right, so askmandla.com. I just love this. It really is. This is the kind of fintech stroke tech solution that South Africa really needs. And I want to know how it all started. So maybe we should begin there. is when did you see this gap and decide, hey, I know how to solve these problems. I know how to help people figure this stuff out. Because there are so many people who are confused. They're terrified of getting it wrong. It's a major issue in South Africa.
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. Look, I can't claim to have been the one to spot the gap. I think what actually happened was my now partner Janine Kane Berman and her husband they were putting they put an app together that was trying to solve the contract problem within the labor market, and she was trying to put herself in lots of places. You know, she's just one person, and they ran into some trouble. And I'd actually just come out of I ran the Muller safety app for a long time, and I just finished up there. I ran that for about 10 years. And I was actually going to go on a sabbatical. I was like, I just want to take some time off, and I just want to go and see what the world has to offer. I'm not rushing. I don't want to rush into anything. And then another mate of mine, Sam, said, no, look, you need to go chat to these guys. They're having problems with their app. Because I know, obviously off the back of that, I know tech. I know how to sort of scale businesses to an extent. And had a chat to Janine and and Roger, and you know, the light bulb just went poof. I was like, guys, this is bigger than what you're doing right here. We've got a massive opportunity to change people's lives, and I love impact businesses. I love solving. Well, I love this country, and I want us to be able to live here, right? I tell people this all the time, and I love being involved in businesses, and you know that do something about it. So this just struck a chord with me. But I said to them, look, we can't do this in an app, because if you think about it, domestic workers don't download applications, right? What they do is they chat on WhatsApp, you know, and they obviously they data conscious and all of those things. So I said, we've got to do something that obviously you know, targets them where they're at. WhatsApp is the place. So that's how we went with a WhatsApp first solution that is actually, I know you introed us as sort of the payroll compliance HR, which is, yes, 100%, the foundation of everything.
Listen, forgive me. I mean, that's the most boring intro. That's not what you guys are all about. But you know, when it comes to solving those problems, you absolutely do that.
100%. That's exactly what it's all about. You know, it's laying that foundation, because these guys have been, so we estimate there's about 100 billion rand worth of cash flowing through the informal sector, through domestic workers' salaries on an annual basis, which is phenomenal. And none of that is coming into the formal sector. And we like, well, we got to do something about this. But at the same time, how do you bring these guys in and create financial inclusion? And that's where we're heading. It's all the stuff, that's what really excites me, the stuff that we're going to do once we get these guys contracted, paying UIF, COIDA, all of those things.
So you hit on a couple of things there. First of all, I know a couple of people who are similar to you. They do well in one business and they go, I'm going to take a sabbatical. It never happens, right? There's always something that pulls you in. People like you are obviously just so driven that you cannot keep yourself quiet for more than a month. So I'm not surprised that happened. The other thing that's worth just reflecting on briefly is the size of the domestic worker economy, if you want to call it that. Because as I said in the introduction, there are millions of households in South Africa who are entirely dependent on domestic workers to do so many of the things that make it possible for the other people in that household to do the work that they do, right? So do we have any idea of the numbers of domestic workers in South Africa?
So it varies. I mean, the official stats will put it at about 800, just about 800,000. But, you know, like I think we saw exactly what you mentioned with, all the unrest and the marches and all that stuff. Like those numbers are closer to over 1 million. We reckon about 1.6 is the total addressable market that we potentially have.
Sure.
So those numbers are big. And then, the scary stat for me is actually that how informal these relationships are. You know, these are people that are in our homes every day. They are taking care of our children. You know, they help us, keep our lives running. And, everybody treats them like family. But at the same time, we think that's taking care of them, but it's really not, right?
No.
Yeah.
Only 12% of these guys have got UIF as an example, So if one day something happens, you leave, you move somewhere, you go overseas, whatever the case may be, they sit there suddenly without a job and with nothing to fall back on. So it's a pretty sad situation.
Yeah, there's such a lack of job security when it comes to domestic workers. And there is nothing worse than that fear every day of not knowing that your job is secure. When you are entrusted with providing essentially security to a family, to children, to pets, to a home.
Don't forget, Leanne, they also know what's going on in your underwear drawer, which nobody else does.
Yeah, that's why you've got to be very, very careful.
So, okay, let's talk about the conversations that you've had with employers and employees and how those have influenced the way that you've changed Ask Mandla, because I'm sure you're constantly, upgrading and recalibrating and figuring out new challenges in this part of the economy, which up to now has been, as you put it, totally informal.
100%. So I think, we've for starters, we've learned so much. We started out, and don't get me wrong, I'm making it sound like we're super old. I mean, we're a new business. We only started in March, April last year.
Right.
But we started out. Well, the things we knew we wanted to do, we wanted to make this stuff super easy because all this compliance stuff is hard. Registering for things like UIF on portals that are broken, all this stuff is super difficult, right? And we wanted to make it super easy and have it all happen within a very clever WhatsApp chat. So it's all conversational within a WhatsApp bot. And then we wanted to make it super cheap as well. But what we also very quickly found out was that nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, "Jeepers, I need to sort out compliance and I want to buy compliance," because it's just it's not a thing, right? And we went out there going, everybody's going to want this. Everybody wants to go and register their domestic for all these things. And we quickly realized that there are phenomenal employers in this country, and then there are some really horrible ones as well. And
Sure.
and we're focusing on the really good ones that want to do something about it. But we've got two markets here, right? We've got an employer who's paying us a subscription for the service, the payroll stuff, the compliance stuff. But the opportunity really lies in what we actually want to do at the end of the day, which is uplift these guys. And that's where the real learnings came in. Is how do we truly help these guys? And yes, look, part of the package as it currently stands is the valuable part that a domestic worker gets at the end of the day is his payslip, a record
Sure.
that they have employment, which they get to take to a bank and open an account and get a loan and get rental and things that we take for granted on an everyday basis. These guys finally have the proof to do, because you can think like traditionally, we'd go and they'd come and ask you, "Can we have a pay slip? Because I need to go do this." And then you got to go put something together. Difficult. That's all sort of now. But the real value lies in what we've just recently started. Well, I said in April, we launched a thing called earned wage access, which was really, really cool for these guys. It's the first step in the direction of where we're ultimately heading in this financial inclusion model that we're trying to build for domestic workers. And that is products that they wouldn't traditionally have access to because of the constraints they work in, no pay slips, very small income, etc. Right. And earned wage access is a basket and it's sort of a test bed for us to see how we can start building sort of financial models and profiles for these guys. So it gives them the opportunity to get access to, some of their salary early in a month, right? So traditionally they get paid on the 25th. Suddenly we've opened the door to, they send Mandla a WhatsApp and go, "How's it? I need $500. I need some school shoes," or whatever the case may be. And the system automatically goes and checks that everything's in order. It comes back and within 24 hours they've got cash in their account before payday, and that just gets deducted off their payslip. So,
well, I mean, let me tell you, that's so much safer than going to a mashonisa and being charged like 50% interest a month on what you've borrowed, because that's what happens. And if you don't have access to finance in a tight situation, that can be life or death for some people.
100%, and it's scary to see. I think the scary part is how much of that we see. I mean, we've created a platform and an environment where guys can come and ask the most basic questions, within reason, within their own language, get responses that they understand, and the questions like that are coming through. It's like, I need to go get a loan, and this is what the guy wants to charge me. Is that right? Or
right.
I've got an employer who's paying me X, and is that legal? and very quickly they're getting a response from within a guided environment that goes, no, that's not right. This is you're being exploited. Minimum wage is X. So it's just really lucky to see guys able to come to a place where safe, curated, getting information that they need and stuff that they haven't had access to previously.
Trust.
I think it's
I mean,
also
you can't buy that. You can't buy that kind of trust. And once you guys, and I'm sure you're already finding this, you're establishing yourselves as somewhere that people can go where they feel, that they will be taken seriously, that there is somebody listening. They can get good advice that's objective, that isn't, colored by the associations of the people that you're asking those questions to. And this is, again, an example of where technology is making life a lot easier, smoother, better, and more clear than it's been before.
100%. Sorry, Leanne, you wanted to say something. I don't want to interrupt your...
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
I interrupt her all the time. Don't worry.
It's where I find it interesting is where you have a domestic worker, say, once a week, and all of a sudden you think, well, I don't really need to worry about UIF. It's only once a week. I don't have to really worry about this. It's only once a week. Am I really putting a contract together for once a week? But those once a weeks add up. And I think if you get together with the other employees, maybe there are 2 or 3 of them, and work together to create a solid contract and UIF and all of that, then it really helps. Because those, I think, are the domestic workers who really battle when it comes to UIF and work security. They're continuously finding somebody to fill that one day a week because something happened.
100%. I mean, so the legislation is clear there, and I don't want to get into these sort of nitty gritty technicalities, but anything over 24 hours a month is you're required to do you're required to register them. You're required to have a contract and all of that stuff. But I think again, getting back to sort of the what we've learned is the education around this stuff is really massive, and we found that guys, they do want to do the right thing, but it's so hard. And like Gareth, I actually listened to in prep for this chat, I went and obviously had a listen to a couple of the podcasts, and the chat you had with Munya was really cool, man. And the stuff that he's doing around that sort of education is exactly what we are aspiring and trying to do within reason. And it's the stuff that we need to do both with the employers and employees, because at the end of the day, the employers don't want to. They want to do the right thing. They don't know how. Employees don't actually know what their rights are, so they sit in the situation where they just accept being potentially exploited to a certain extent because they just don't know any better. So we're putting out a whole bunch of content, and we have to do quite a bit of heavy lifting because, like I said, people don't go out every day trying to buy compliance. So getting them to understand what the requirements are and making it easy and short form kind of bite-sized chunks like Minya's doing a great job of, I think is the right way of going about it. So just creating this environment for these guys.
Well, also, I mean, it's worth saying too that on the other side of the equation, so many employers are terrified of doing the wrong thing and ending up at the CCMA or whatever else because they haven't dotted the I's and crossed the T's. So if you can provide clarity to them, that's also a very valuable service on that side of the equation, which I think would put a lot of people's minds at ease because, as we've discussed already, these people are in your life, and it would be stupid of you to just regard that as, we had a conversation about this, I don't know, 6 years ago in January, and we decided this is how we're going to manage things. You can't do that. You wouldn't do it in your workplace, even for somebody who's, just the office cleaner. You wouldn't do that. So you need to be similarly dutiful and careful around the management of this economic relationship, even if they are a member of the family or whatever people say.
Yeah, exactly. We call them a family member, but I don't see family members normally getting pay slips. So this is something that guys need to just be wary of. Is that regardless of whether or not today you've got a contract in place, you are still bound by the labor regulations. The right thing to do is just
Yeah.
to get that thing in place, which is now so super simple because, again, that whole contracting process within our system specifically happens through a WhatsApp chat. So you literally chat to the bot, give it your information, it goes and fetches and chats to the employee and gets their information, plates it, presents it to you guys, and you sign it through the WhatsApp chat. So it's a simple, really, really easy process. But what that does, like you rightly just said, is it just, if things go south or if you happen to have to retrench because you're moving away, everything is clear and everybody knows where they stand, like you have at work.
Right.
You don't go into
Yeah.
that relationship and not have those things sorted out, because it just, it can land you in trouble. The other one, to follow on from that one, is that guys don't understand either, is that COIDA is a real thing. So the disability fund is a real thing that domestic workers can go and claim from, right? And you are liable for that thing, whether or not you've been contributing, either way. So if they get injured at work, they can go and claim from that fund, and it'll pay for their expenses and the time off and their medical bills. And then if you haven't been contributing and paying, and I don't want to use this as a scare tactic because this is not the point of this conversation, but at the end of the day, you as the employer are liable if that person was injured in your home. And that's a scary thing. You don't want to have that happen. So just, having these things in an easy way to sort out and then contributing in the right way, that's the foundation that we're trying to lay in order to then, once that stuff's sorted out and it's back of mind and it's being taken care of, and you're sorting out a small fee every month for it to get done, then there's so many cool things that we're going to add on top of that, starting with the EWA. Then we're going to go, like my gardener came to me last week and he goes, listen, I've got a really bad toothache. Sorry, I'm late today. And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. Just let Mandla know that you need some leave and it's all tracked and you can go home.
Right.
And, the way that they sort that out is they take a pill. And like, you can't just take a pill. You got to go to the dentist, and they can't afford to go to the dentist. So like the next train that we're on is, how do we get some form of affordable medical aid, preferably that the employers can chip in to make sure that the guys are covered, so that they're not losing a day of work, because they don't have to worry about that either, because they don't have to go and now sit in a queue at the clinic. It's just something that gets taken care of. So those are the things that we want to do: micro insurance, micro loans, things that are affordable, that are easy, that the guys are taken care of. They rock up at your house, they're happy, they know they're sorted, and they're not worrying about how they're going to put food on the table at the end of the day, because they have access to things that are taken for granted in other levels.
Well, listen, I think this is amazing. I put this screenshot up, and maybe you can just take us through what this is, because this is really, really handy. This is a screenshot from your homepage, but this gives people an idea of how you actually help people break it down. Here's your gross pay, here's your UIF contribution, here's what you might have taken out earlier as a kind of a loan on future earnings. But this is how you break it down for people. And this comes out on WhatsApp, right?
Exactly. So education. We're just trying to show guys, like, so there's the gross income, what they've earned to date, what they're liable, what you and they are liable for. So it's 1% on either side for both parties that to pay towards UIF. We can have a whole nother conversation about UIF and the complexities around there. So whether they've taken a bit of EWA, so earned wages, and then like you rightly put, the things that we think would be valuable at the end of the day. Not all of these are there yet. These are all part of the roadmap where we think things are going, but things like, funeral cover, loans. I mean, so the fantastic, and the really heartwarming thing is these, like, domestic workers want to do the right thing, and we get asked for they'll come to us and, listen, why don't you just every month just hold 500 Rand off that salary for me and give it to me in December. And that's amazing, but that's as far as they know from a financial education perspective, as far as to go, because they're
Sure.
like, I'm going to have that for the end of the year. Christmas, I can sort myself out. For next year for school, I'm sorted for the school kids. But then you start thinking, like, guys, but why aren't we putting that into something that's going to earn you a bit of interest? That's like, and explaining to them, look, if you put this in here, this is what the outcome at the end of the day is going to be. And that's how we trying to help the guys.
I think it's amazing. Obviously, people can go along to askmandla.com and you can find out more over there. But I'm really happy we got to meet you this morning, Pete, and we'll be talking about this a little more on future episodes of this show. I just think it's such a part of South African life, and we pay very little attention, and therefore we have sleepless nights over what if and maybe and could happen, will happen, does happen. Instead of all that concern, you can start getting yourself together, making all of this a little more structured, and have the peace of mind, for heaven's sake. It just makes perfect sense to me.
Exactly, guys. It's I think we think it's the right way to go, and it's good. It's been great chatting to you, and we look
Thank you.
forward to having lots
No,
more
it's amazing to
conversations
see
around
you.
it.
Yeah, thanks so much. And lovely to meet you, Pete. We'll check in with you soon.
Thanks, Gareth. Thanks, Leanne.
Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know, these domestic workers are not just people who do the stuff around the house that you don't want to do. They are. Janine calls hers the chief operating officer, like head of operations in the house. You know, because that's really what it is. If you think about your house as being a business, who is the one that tells you, oh, you know, we need to get more washing powder or whatever? You don't know that unless somebody tells you. So they're performing a managerial and administrative function as well as doing the stuff, right?
Yeah, I know there's so much to it. And things are difficult to track. It is that, please, can I be paid an extra 500 Rand before the end of the month? Sick leave, leave. It's difficult to keep track. What percentage UIF? How many days of the week were worked this week? It's like, it's a lot.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have to get James a domestic worker contract now because he hasn't got one of those. So, you know, that's what we're going to have to do on the show.
His likelihood of succumbing to injury on the job is very low, though. I mean, let's face it.
Well, you know, falling off your own chair, that's a regular it's a regular problem for him. Oh, listen. Oh, Leanne, I've got something to show you. This is the most disturbing thing that's come up on my feed on Instagram in the last couple of days. And I knew I had to share this with you and with the sick people in our audience. So don't ask me what it is. I didn't look into it or go to the page where they make other stuff or any of the. This just came up and I was obsessed, but in a like not good way. I was like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. But the song got stuck in my head. And I kept playing, and I sent it to a whole lot of people I know. I saved it for you, though, for the show today. You ready?
I hope so.
Okay, I want to hear your comments straight after.
Only one pull from the meat bucket, please. Ew, I don't want it.
Andrea, meat buckets today. Hairy, pink, and moist with a rotten meat bouquet. One pull.
Only one.
No. Is that how long it was?
That's all. That's all it was.
Not give my brain time to adjust.
Okay, here, second time.
Only one pull
From the meat bucket, please.
Ew, I don't want it.
Andrea, meat buckets today. Hairy, pink, and moist with a rotten meat bouquet. One pull.
Only one.
No, it's still too much. Computer says no.
Only
I don't know
one
if it was
pull from the
the
meat bucket, please.
I don't know if it was like the shaved pubes sticking to around the mouth because he'd been in the meat bucket, or if it was the actual broiling of the meat of suspicious origins. But I'm feeling a little bit nauseous.
Bitcoin Bud, is that Naledi Pandor? Carl DeSantos says that's my most awkward erection ever. Only one pull from the meat bucket,
I
please.
literally feel nauseous.
So I'm thinking of for my birthday next year, we'll have a party, but it'll be only meat buckets. What do you think?
Oh. Need a
All right. Listen, you're a big fan of Bill Gates. You've always been a massive supporter of his. So apparently he is sounding an alarm on AI. And because we pay attention to AI on this show, everyone in the world is paying attention to AI. What does Bill Gates have to say? I'm more suspicious of him than you are.
So I like to hear what people are saying about AI. I like to hear the different opinions. I obviously won't necessarily listen to it, but And also, you've got to now remember his age. Like, where does he fall in generationally? Is
Yeah.
he at the point of maybe not accepting AI to the point that younger people will be? But he has come out, the latest thing that he has said in an essay is that AI will either be the greatest equalizer ever invented or the worst source of injustice. And it depends on what human actions are being undertaken right now. He's saying on the current course and speed, there's a very high chance of a net negative outcome. So yeah.
Well, you see, the point with him is he's
I don't know if it's just me, but I cannot hear you anymore.
sorry. You could, Bill Gates is not an idiot. He's involved in the tech world. He invests very heavily in all of the latest things that are going on. So he's not a fool. He's just got it wrong so many times, and I think he's got a bit of a megalomania going on as well. I don't disagree with him on this, by the way. I'm not one of these eternal AI is going to solve all of our problems, perfect optimism. I'm not one of those people, but I do think there are dangers. It poses dangers. Once these systems, these models can think faster than humans and improve themselves better than we can, then you do enter a world where suddenly it goes beyond us being able to pull it back. I mean, if you have, for example, a model which has a measurable IQ, and you can test the IQ of a machine just like you can with a human, of like 200, then there's no human on Earth that's going to be able to keep up with that. So eventually we hand over more and more responsibility to AI systems, and before you know it, you don't have any way of pulling it back. That should worry all of us. And Bill Gates, as much as he's a creepy weirdo who visited Epstein's island way too much, and like his ex-wife Melinda, they've got the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Apparently, she just doesn't even talk to him. She finds him completely like off-putting and gross.
She's out of it.
Yeah, but he makes a point here that it's worth paying attention when somebody like Bill Gates says something, I suppose.
So he wants to do what is your pet peeve, Gareth, and that's calling for government to get involved. So he's saying we need coordinated policies across national security, employment, education, taxation, and health.
Bring in the guys who fucked up everything else to try and regulate AI. I mean, this would be, again, government. The minute you get government involved, it just makes things 10 times worse. It doesn't make it better. You can have a totally competent government. Imagine Helen Ziller is put in charge of this. I'm going to find at least 10 to 20 things that I completely disagree with Helen Ziller about. But by the time I've brought them up, she's already made it law. And then she's deciding for everyone else. I don't think that's right either. That makes me very nervous. So yeah, Bill Gates, again, makes a valid point, but then chooses the wrong instrument to bring about the change that he thinks is necessary. Please, and if you think, by the way, if you're a big Donald Trump fan and you reckon that the Donald Trump administration would make the right decision, just remember that in a couple of years' time, you could have a different administration run by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and then she's deciding completely different things, controlling that whole system, except that she's the one who's making the rules. I don't trust politicians. I don't want them in charge. Speaking of politicians, did you see this week the guy who's in charge of traditional leaders, or he's a spokesperson for traditional leaders, and he said all politicians are, quote, bloody liars. That's what he called them. Traditional leaders. So even they are starting to go, you know what? I'd rather have a tribal chief than have a elected ANC comrade Keda.
Yeah. In this case,
Bizarre.
yes.
Yeah. Bill Gates, according to Kyle, believes wealthy nations should completely transition to 100% synthetic or plant-based beef to combat climate change. What a load of crap. Yeah, you see, he's full of crappy ideas. Doesn't mean you don't listen to him. even a broken clock is right twice a day. And Bill Gates, he's been right. He's been right a little more than a broken clock. But by no means should we let someone like that make the rules. Do you remember he was one of the big COVID protagonists in the beginning? And he's got money invested in companies that make a profit out of people being sick and needing medicines and I don't trust the guy. I mean, he's also bought up a ton of farmland in America, which makes me very, very nervous.
And is he growing cows on that farmland? One wonders.
I don't know, but often you can tell if someone is just a bullshit person because they don't do what they want you to do. So they say you should do this thing, but then they themselves don't do it. Oh, you should use government schools for your kids, and meanwhile they send their kids to private school. Oh no, public health care is great because I would send my children. Meanwhile, they're sending their wife and kids to the private hospital when something goes wrong. I don't trust people like that, and Bill Gates is one of those guys. But maybe he is. Maybe he's farming cows, and maybe we can rely on him for the meat buckets. What do you think?
Oh, no.
Only one pull from the meat bucket, please.
Ew, I don't want it.
Andrea, meat buckets today. Hairy, pink, and moist with a rotten meat bouquet. One pull, one pull.
Only one.
A rotten meat bouquet.
Yes, come on. What's wrong with you? You just like Bill Gates. You're a buzzkill. All right. Do you want to go and start your day and get on with your actual work?
Yeah, might have to visit the loo on the way.
And remember, Leanne, only one pull from the meat bucket, please.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Thanks.
Very important. And please, I love the way in that there's this horrible creature, but it says, please, only one pull from the meat bucket, please. Okay? Now you know.
So polite.
All right, we'll check in with you in a couple of days. Have an awesome weekend.
You too. Bye.
Ciao, ass. Bye. All right. I'm very excited to have our next guest on because I've had a couple of interactions with him, but he's been posting a lot of very cool stuff on social media. A guy called Andre Faro. I'm just going to show you this. Andre, I'm going to bring you on, but I want you to just explain. Here he is. Hey, Andre, how's it? How are you? You can't hear me? Oh, Jesus. Guys, why don't you just sort that out quickly? Let me show you this. This is the thumbnail they put together for this morning's show. Check Andre's hair in there. He looks like he's in the Jackson 5. And that's hilarious. Producers, why don't you just sort out Andre's sound so I can bring him back on? First of all, I got to say, because I got a lot of shit from Ben whenever we'd make a thumbnail for the show, that is how I actually look. You can tell in real time. So mine is the most up to date. Leanne, it's maybe a couple of years ago. I'm thinking like around 12 years ago when we started Cliff Central. That was a picture that we did on a shoot there. So maybe, maybe a more recent picture for Leanne. But Andre, he looks like either Tito or Marlon or Jermaine Jackson. I'm not sure which one. But that is not how he looks anymore. Let me see if I can get him on now. Hey, Andre, how's it? Can you hear us now?
Okay, I still. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. All right, there we go.
Okay, he's on. Where the hell does this picture come from? Because you gave us that picture of you looking like you're in the Jackson 5. What's that?
Say again?
Huh?
Oh, the photo, the picture I sent you.
Where's that from?
I was what 20? I was 29, almost 30. Yeah. It was my first ever attempt at trying to model because I had the afro.
Let me give everybody an idea of your bio quickly, because you are an entertainer, but you also were a senior center analyst at BMW for a while, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You did this modeling that you pointed to already. You also worked in radio. You still work in radio. You have a weekend show, is that right?
Yeah, weekend show on Impact Radio 103.
How's radio, dude? How's that going? I haven't checked in with my radio people for a long time. How's Impact Radio? Wasn't that the Christian station, Impact Radio?
Yes, yes, it's the
Yeah.
Christian radio station in Pretoria. Yeah, no, it's going wonderful.
Yes.
So what happened was I was like on and off. So before I started at BMW, I was or before I was in the IT world, I was
Mhm.
at Impact Radio. And then from Impact Radio, I went over into the corporate. And then for 6 years, I was out of radio. And then my wife, she just said to me the one day, listen here, but I think you should get back into radio because I can see you missing it because you start doing. What I would do is we would be listening to radio in the car with my kids, and then before the DJ comes on, I would mute the DJ and I would talk like I'm on the show. And then my wife would be like, nah, bro, like, I think you need to get back onto radio because the kids are actually enjoying the station. But yeah, you coming up with your own thing. So I was like, nah, okay, cool. I'm gonna. And then of course, I got back on radio, and no, it's going well. It's going well.
Well,
Loving it. Loving it.
I'm just looking at all the other stuff here. You've won. You've been nominated for MTN Radio Awards. You didn't win though. I mean, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Very disappointing. Honestly, we usually only have winners. We usually don't allow people who are just nominees on the show. But I'll let this pass for today.
Thanks. You know what? Next time. I don't know how I'll do next time, but next time. I'll definitely try next time.
One of the places that we've interacted a little bit with is with the Truth Report, which we both do some work for. And the Truth Report really is about giving people an alternative to traditional media in South Africa when it comes to politics, especially. And there's so much going on in this country that there's never a dull day, right? But do you find, compared to the radio stuff, which in your case on Impact isn't always political, I mean, it can sometimes be, I'm sure. But you're quite outspoken on the Truth Report. You've had quite a lot to say about very controversial issues, and you don't mince your words.
Yeah, no. So with radio, to see that it is a Christian radio station, I keep by the rules and regulations required of me.
Right. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is I can put on many caps. You know what I mean? So with a Christian side, it does infiltrate the politics and it does infiltrate the culture. And so you can bring it all together in a direction of, so what I've done is I've always said, okay, so this is what politics is showing us. This is what the world is showing us. But let me show you from the Christian aspect. So I always have a Christian aspect on what's happening over this side. So with Report, it's really allowed me to kind of be like, I can spread further wings in a sense of, I can say what I want to say. I can bring it across. If it has to be a bit strong, I can bring it across strong. And and so it allowed me to just say, what every South African is thinking. I sat with a guy called Andre Leroux yesterday, and he just said it's nice to hear someone say common sense things, the simple things in life. And I think we've lost that completely. I don't know. I saw your story this morning. Your story was so funny, and I saw it and I realized what's so crazy is that it's 2026. We're creating AI. Like AI is literally like bleeding over, man. Everybody's in AI. Everybody's using AI. But yet we do not know what a woman is, which is like the principle and the foundation of a man and a woman. Yet we do not know, like what a woman is. And I saw your story this way. I had a good laugh because I was just like, it's crazy that we are living in a world that is like, it's so like it pulls one side, then it pulls the other side, but yet there's no common ground. And there's this wrestle of the two sides, So
well, I like that your handle is Common Sense, right? That's your social media handle, Common Sense SA. And there's also a brilliant account that I follow called The Common Sense, which our friend Frans Grenier has quite a lot to do with. They put out incredible research on South Africa. Just this week, they published a story about how the overwhelming majority of supporters of every political party and people in rural South Africa, black, white, Indian, colored, it makes no difference. Everybody has started to rely on themselves more than they do on government and realize that government is not going to help them in this country, which is amazing because they surveyed some, I think, 20,000 people to put that report together. So I would
Wow.
encourage anybody to,
Wow.
go and follow the Common Sense and the work they do
Yeah.
because it's really, really interesting. But you call yourself Common
Yeah.
Sense, and I do think most South Africans, the average South African, has quite a lot of common sense. We were talking to Pete earlier from Ask Mandla, and
Mm.
domestic workers, they know how much they are owed at the end of every month.
Yeah.
South Africans are
Yeah.
we're mostly quite sensible about stuff like that. We don't have, like, you look at these first world people who are debating things like transgender bathrooms. I mean, for the average South African,
Mm.
that's not a thing they need to be. You don't need to explain gender and sex to them. They're like man, woman. They get
Mm.
it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
South Africans like common sense. We don't like being talked down to by either pseudo intellectuals who've spent too much time in universities making shit up and
Mm.
changing the meaning of words. And we also don't like dumb stuff, just deliberately
Yeah.
dumb stuff. So
Yeah.
this is obviously for you. It's a great place to play. I saw you had quite a lot to
Mm.
say about Lady Pandor and her comments recently about academia. Do you want to tell us about that? Andre? Is he frozen? What's happened to him? Ay, ay, ay. Okay, well, we'll try and get him back. And what's going on with that guy's connection? I mean, he may have common sense, but he's got a shit connection. That much is true. Just quickly in between, while we're doing all of this, there's a little bit of other news that is going on. There's stuff. There's always stuff in the news in this country. And by the way, if you want to find out what's happening in the news, we've of course got the daily briefing, which is available every day. We're going to be subscribing from Tuesday, the 1st of September. I've held back on announcing the exact date because we wanted to get everything in order so that there was no confusion, there was no complication. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. If you've subscribed to any other paid podcasts anywhere in the world, you'll see it's a pretty straightforward process. We've tried to keep it in line with all of that. It'll be 48 Rand a month. And then you can also, if you want to, you could buy the 6-month or the 12-month. There are discounts involved there. But that starts on Tuesday. And if you've been following that up to now, you will know that it's there to make you sound smarter. It's there to fill you in. It's there to position you in the world. All the things that you need without taking up hours and hours of your day. So it's getting better and better. And we've had hugely positive feedback from everybody while we've been trialing free episodes for the last 3 months. And if you like it, then you may want to subscribe to it as well. I know everybody's a little bit hard pressed for having to spend on extra things at the moment. Nobody's got extra money lying around. But if we want to make this thing work and we want to make it really successful, it's going to require a little bit of capital to keep expanding. I want to customize it eventually. So you can select categories where you can go, I want more of this. I don't want so much politics. I want more South African stuff or less South African stuff. We will make it according to all of that. But it's going to need some investment and time and effort and energy and capital from our side. So we also want you to feel like, if you're paying for something, it's worth it. Because the ultimate cost of content, if you don't charge for it, is zero, which is also the value of that content if you don't charge for it. So that's the way we're looking at things. And I want this to be successful. Haven't missed an episode of the Daily Briefing. So good, Gareth. Thank you very much. That's nice to see in the comment section. I'll pay if you bring on a machosha. Well, we're still going to do things like that on this show. Absolutely. I'll cancel my, I think he means UIF for the Daily Briefing, but thank you, Bitcoin But. Let go of the domestic and sign up, says C23. Okay, yeah, you can do all of that. Have we got Andre back? Where is he? I don't know where this guy is. Just completely cut out. His power tripped. Oh, Jesus. It's such a South African story. Andre, What the hell? Your power tripped?
Yeah, my power literally. I literally heard that the switchboard click, and I went, "Ah,
Oh, okay.
yeah." You know,
So it's not.
there's
It's
only
not.
certain Afrikaans words.
It's not Naledi
Say again.
Pando who walked into your house and went to your switchboard and just before you said something shit about her.
Lazarus, that lady and I, we have a love-hate relationship at the moment. Yeah, no, I had a lot to say because I think it's ridiculous that you're complaining about a group of South Africans, just wanting a better future, and they actually, it's not about just them saying things; it's actually they doing something about it. So it's amazing to see that a beautiful university wants to be, is being built of 3.2 billion. And here you've got a ex minister complaining about it just because it's white Afrikaners. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, show me evidence of what you have done for the South African people. Because going to the locations and celebrating a JoJo water tank, as this is a great investment
that happened this week, right?
Yeah. And I'm just
a JoJo water tank, and they had like a whole government delegation there, and they're cutting ribbons, and I'm like, you've given people a shitty water tank instead of laying on plumbed in water that actually comes out of a tap when you open it, and you're congratulating yourself. And by the way, how much did you say academia is costing?
3.2 billion.
Okay. Now, I know for a fact that there's a piece of a road on the Spitsbergen Road that they've been working on for, 6 years, and it already cost more than 5 billion rand to do this non-finished, incomplete road. The government takes 5 billion rand to build a road, and these guys from Solidarity and all the sponsors and the contributors, they're building a whole university, which will become, I have no doubt, the best university in South Africa in the next 5 years.
It will.
That cost them 2/3 of that. It's amazing.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
That and that speaks about the people's character. You know what I mean? Like it speaks about people's character in a sense of like, what are we going to invest into, instead of just having this typical politician mindset where it's like everything what I've done. And this is the thing about politicians, when it comes to photo ops, they want to show you what they have done. But then you have people, organizations like Solidarity and, all these other people coming around, organizations, giving. They don't want to show it. Like, they don't want to stand there and be like, look what we've done. It's more, it's like people are giving in secret, because at the end of the day, let's invest in the future of this nation. I just heard Kali Kriel was talking about how they've taken Afrikaans out of universities. And I thought, but it's, what is it? The third most spoken language in the country.
Yeah.
And Afrikaans is across the board. It's not just white or colored. It's like across the board. Everybody, I saw, there's a high school here in Pretoria East, beautiful high school called Gasfontein. Dude, there is white, black, colored, in all South Africans at that school, but you must hear them speak Afrikaans. That's the language that they're speaking. And I'm just like, what? Why do we want to get rid of, why are they so desperate to get rid of Afrikaans?
That is the main reason. But Andre, that's the main reason that Kali and a bunch of these other guys got together and decided we need to build our own university, because it wasn't that they were unhappy about black people going to the University of Pretoria, for example, or Stellenbosch. It was that their medium of instruction was being downgraded or removed completely. And if you grow up speaking Afrikaans, you want to learn in Afrikaans, right? I wonder how this government feels about the fact that they have not built a university for every other language group. I wonder how they feel about the fact that they have not expanded and improved education. We spend, as a country, more than proportionally, right? Per capita, we spend more than any other country in the world on education, or we're certainly in the top 4 from the figures that I saw just the other day.
Yes.
And yet we get the cuckest results. We have huge illiteracy problems. The inability for someone who's finished primary school in South Africa to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and speak properly using, language for understanding, for meaning. It's outrageous that these guys, these are the people who have the temerity to talk about like an organized group of self-funded contributors. These are not like wealthy Afrikaans donors. Some of the people who give money to Solidarity every month are laborers. They're laborers. They are people who work the land or machines or build or make things with their hands. And then you're going to go and criticize them because they want a place to send their kids where they can learn in their own language. It's outrageous.
It is, and you know what? So what gets me, like, I'm like, wait, hold up, is that they live in this past mentality, and this is how liberation movements work. They can never step into what needs required. You know what I mean? Like they just
they're not
stuck
built
there.
for government.
Like they're not built for government. You know what I mean? And it's amazing. Like you and I, we get to see how South Africans are starting to be like, you know what? I'd rather listen to Gareth Cliff, or I'd rather listen to, Joe Emilio, or I'd rather listen to Ronaldo. Like people are just deciding, you know what? We're sick and tired of this old parrot that keeps on going, but there's no results. And so,
well,
I
want to ask you about this because
Yeah.
I've summarized that philosophy into one line. And I told the story on the show, which I'm not going to tell again, of where the line comes from. But when I hear the ANC, and I heard Fikile this week talking about, give us another chance. That's the ANC slogan rather for this election. It's ridiculous, right? I mean, you've run out. The best you can come up with is give us another chance. I mean, how pathetic do you have to be? But the philosophy that guides a lot of these guys who are in the ANC, and someone brought up Julius, we're still waiting for him to finish building that school he promised he was going to build. Remember? Remember the EFF said they were going to build a school? Here's the philosophy in one line. Why you never give me? That's the philosophy. And I'm gonna have T-shirts made. I'm gonna have T-shirts made, which we will be selling on my site, that say "Why you never give me," because that is the philosophy of the ANC. Whether you're a rich billionaire cader who's been given hundreds of tenders, and we see all of these people. I mean, there's that one dreadful Cat Matlala who's in front of the Matlanga Commission at the moment. And this guy's been handed money for shit that he didn't even do properly. And yet his attitude still, you can see him in front of those commissioners. It's why you never give me. Right?
And it's this audacity to rock up looking like $1 billion. And I'm just like, bro, like, dude, like South Africans are struggling. And here you come sit in front of us commission and you're like, no, here's my Gucci bag, my Gucci.
Did you see,
bro?
Did you see Colin Malachi, who was, I think he was head of the ANC Youth League for a while, might still be for all I know. But he pitched up at some press conference. He was wearing Louis Vuitton shoes, the LV logo all over. But the real thing, not Fong Kong. LV jeans with the little LVs all over them. I mean, the branding. Obviously, if you have no personality and you have no value, then putting LVs all over you is going to suddenly make you valuable. An LV shirt and jacket. They reckon his whole outfit cost something like 107. This is obviously TikTok and Instagram mathematics, but they reckon it's worth 170,000 Rand. That one outfit he was wearing as a man. I mean, you get Imogen, what's his name, who was in the Ekurhuleni government. She pitched up in like a 200,000 Rand outfit one day. But that's a woman, and women will spend outrageous money on bags and shoes and shit. This is a guy. This is a man. how little self-respect do you have to have? Not only for yourself to wear that
Yes.
shit, because it's shit. It's outrageously
Mm.
expensive shit. But then you
Mm.
also are thumbing your nose at the poor. You're like saying, look at me in my
Mm.
LV outfit, and you're poor.
Yeah.
You can't afford, why you never give
Yeah.
me? And then when you do give him, then he just takes it all. Fuck.
Yeah, and and man, the thing with South Africans, and I love this, is that they starting to go like, you know what, you guys are a bunch of clowns. Like really,
Yeah. Yes, they are.
like all that you do is to why you give me, that kind of mentality. Like, and I love how South Africans. I don't know if you're picking this up, Gareth. Like, but I love how South Africans are like banding together now. You know what I mean? It's no more just like it's white there or colored there, but no, it's like everybody's coming together and going, you know what, these guys are actually a bunch of clowns. And South Africa deserves more. And we deserve better than this. Because here you have a politician that has been a politician for decades saying, give us a second chance. And I'm like, bro, South Africa is past the second chance. We know
It's
more
not
than second
This isn't a
chances.
second chance. This is 30 years. The ANC is approaching. The ANC is approaching the same milestone. Like if they stay the majority party in South Africa for another, I think 1 or 2 elections, they will have been in power as the majority party for as long as apartheid existed. You know that?
Yes. Yeah.
And when that
Yeah.
happens, then as soon as they cross that line of like they've been around longer than apartheid and people are still suffering and the ordinary South African has not improved their life or their quality of life, then these guys have nothing left to fall back on because it's not just a second chance. This is about an 8th chance. And so far, I mean, everybody who's worried about like MK and Zuma, I'm like, Cyril's worse, man. Cyril is worse. So where do you see people? Where do you see people banding together? Where do you see people coming together and saying we've had enough of this shit in your own life?
Okay, so for me, it's just that common sense understanding of what is important for us. Of course, jobs, putting bread on the table for us, our schooling, our infrastructure. Looking at it today, it is shocking to see that just down my road there's 6 potholes. So when an oak drives there, you gotta if you don't have a 4x4, sorry. So it's just the infrastructure that is looking horrible. Gareth, you know what the shocker is? I went to and fetch my kids from school, and we're not far from the school, so I take a walk to go pick them up, and we get to walk and we get to talk as a family. And so I'm walking, and my daughter picked this up. I already saw it, but she picked it up. She's only 9 years old, and she saw the rubbish bins over flooding. Like, I mean, it looked horrible. And she looked at me and she said, Dad, why is the street so dirty? It's a 9-year-old. And I looked at her and I said, well, so I gave her kind of like a short breakdown, but also like a breakdown that she can understand. And I said to her, well, there's people that are responsible for these things because taxpayers pay for this, but yet they cannot do the simple things. And so for South Africans, we are all coming together on this common ground and saying, guys, there's important things that we need to carry on with our lives. Like I always believe, like the government is not there to fix everything. No, they're not there to fix everything. And I agree with you. I heard you earlier on. You said you don't trust the politicians. I also don't trust politicians. Like I'm very cautious with what they say because they say one thing today and they do another thing tomorrow. And I think that's why you and I and so many other podcasters or YouTubers are in this field, is because we're sick and tired of just you guys talking the same thing over and over and doing absolutely nothing. And so we get to keep you accountable for the things that you promised to the South African people.
Well,
so
I mean, you mentioned 2 things here that I just want to refer to quickly because I think they're both very valuable. So first of all, there are things we can blame the government for, and there are things that the government is paid through our taxes, which they take at gunpoint. They're paid to do, right? So things like collecting the rubbish, making sure there's electricity, water, the roads work, all that kind of shit. That's basic. That's like before we get to talking about universal health care or or a social safety net or social grants or any of that. That shit is like 3 or 4 degrees down. First, make sure that the people who are paying the taxes are getting the basics. And another basic thing, obviously,
Yes.
is to keep the borders secure, because I know you've got stuff to say about March and March, which we'll get to in a second. But the one thing government is not responsible for, and your story of walking your daughter to school is instructive here. They are not responsible for families. They're not responsible for dads doing their job. We know we've got a massive fatherlessness problem in this country. A lot of dads, there's some horrific statistic from Home Affairs about how, close to half of the kids whose births are registered, you have to get a birth certificate. There is no dad on the birth certificate. There is no dad in the registration documents. That is a major issue, and we can't blame government for that, right? And we want to talk about the politicians, what assholes they are, and that's fair. But we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, what is going on with all the single moms, deadbeat dads, dads who are not there on the birth certificate or even involved in the kid's life at all. Sometimes the mom and the kid have no idea who the dad is. And that's a big issue.
Yeah.
And I know you've got feelings about that because first of all, you are a dad. Second of all, you're a Christian. Third of all, you believe in the family. So tell me how you feel about that stuff, because that really worries me, man. That keeps me up at night.
Yeah, that is a scary statistics if you look at it, because if you look at South Africa, and a lot of the times people don't want to touch on this topic, Gareth. Like I've had a few discussions, like people don't want to touch on this topic because it's very sensitive. It's a sore thing that we have in South Africa. 63% across all boards, 63% of fatherless homes, and so fathers play a massive role. Like we play a massive role, not just in our families, but in our communities as well. And so for me being a father, it breaks my heart that, and I agree with Charlie Kirk when he said this, like this thing of like fathers just being, men just being this thing. It's all about, and sorry for the kids that are like, sorry if you hear this, but it's almost this mentality, the orgasm matters most, but not the responsibility afterwards.
Yeah.
And you hear something like that, and it makes you think, wait, hold up. Have we become so spineless in a sense that we care more about ourselves than the responsibilities that we have to carry? Now, I take my hat off for the single moms. I feel, man, I salute especially the single moms in across the board. Like they have to juggle three things at the same time. But I also said this to this one lady in a discussion. I said, but there's also this thing of it's your responsibility who you choose. Because so many times you can blame the guy, but there's also another flip to the coin of saying, hey, you also have a responsibility of choosing the right partner.
Correct.
Choosing the right husband.
There is responsibility on both sides here, and I'm glad you brought that up because it is very unfashionable. Nobody wants to talk about the responsibility that women have women in this country are by far the ones who file for divorces more than men do. That's a thing nobody wants to talk about. They don't want to talk about how a lot of these moms have deliberately excluded the father of their child, how custody always goes in the woman's favor. And the result of all of that men go, okay, well, if this is how, and I'm not by any means blaming women for this, but we don't talk about how if men are constantly pushed away, eventually they go, you know what? I don't want this. I'd rather stay single. I'd rather not have these responsibilities. And if she gets pregnant and she wants to go and be a single mom, well, that's fine. That suits me down to the ground. And that's why so many men don't pay maintenance. And I mean, listen, there are asshole men out there who are doing all the wrong things. And society does not support and advocate for them, quite rightly. But society seems to advocate for and support women who behave just as irresponsibly, and they are allowed to get away with this with no accountability at all. So it's about time we just equalize those playing fields, if you ask me.
And it's you actually brought it. You made a great statement there, because so many times, it's like the one, people look at the one and go, yeah, but it's this one's fault, and then the other, no, but actually, if we come together and say, guys, listen here, men and women, we have a responsibility, and and that's why it breaks my heart that we have men in this country that the only thing they think about is themselves. And I'm talking about that 62%. I'm talking about
Yeah.
those guys that are just like, listen, I'm gonna make a child. I know I made a child, but I'm not gonna take
Yeah.
that is, and I'm gonna say it like it is. That is a spineless man that at the end of the day, he will come to you and I and say, no, but I'm a man. I'm a man. I'll be like, no. If you go look at what a man is someone that takes responsibility for all of his actions. And he admits when he's wrong, and he carries on with what is required from us. I have 4 kids, Gareth. Like, listen, I'm not a dad of one. I'm a dad of 4 by
You've been
one
busy.
woman. Hey, bruh. Like one woman. It's not like I was out there. No. 4 kids with one woman, and by the grace of God, we get to enjoy what family is all about. Like, Gareth, my heart is full. Like, I get to do, like, what we're doing now is amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But for me, when I sit by my dining room table and I hear the chattering going on, and I hear the conversations and the laughter, and sometimes there's a bit of irritation here and there because it's boys and girls, man, that fills my heart. And it breaks me that these men are missing out moments like this that is so critical for their young people's lives that
Let me.
yeah.
No, finish your point.
Yeah. So that, we create a culture of tradition where my sons can take on the responsibilities that is required from him. And they can just keep going. And that's where we change. My dad always used to say, make up your own bed first before you go change the world. You know what I mean? Like, first sort yourself out, because the world's going to point back at you, Gareth, and say, yeah, but aren't you that guy? Aren't you this guy? You know what I mean? So to the men, go make up your bed, clean your yard first, and then when God has opened a door for you to play in a public light, go then and change the communities. But your first number one responsibility, and this men don't want to hear, but it's the absolute truth, is your wife and your kids, your family, and that's what I stand on.
Keep
man.
your own house clean before you start worrying
Yeah.
about other people and the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So there's a really amazing story going on in America at the moment. There's this terrible human being called Lindsay Clancy, I think is her name.
Clancy, yes.
She strangled her 3 kids to death, and she's now on trial in America. And what is fascinating about this, because it's become the biggest story in America, despite the Strait of Hormuz and everything else, the biggest story in America, because millions of insane women have become like fangirls of this Clancy bitch. And this is a woman who murdered her own children. And you've got these women on they've raised over $1 million for her on GoFundMe. And you've got people posting videos saying that they support her and they know how she feels, they know what she's going through, and basically trying to remove accountability from her because they say, oh, well, she had a psychotic break, or she suffers from mental health problems, and therefore we need to be empathetic with someone who murdered, who executed her own 3 children. And I would just say, like, if you are one of those people who supports a mother who kills, who executes her 3 children, and if you saw the crime scene, you wouldn't be empathetic. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
But you got these crazy women all over America who are supporting Lindsay Clancy. And I've got to say, if you know one of those people, if you have a friend or even an acquaintance who is supporting Lindsay Clancy, you got to get the hell away from that woman, because she is pure, unadulterated evil. Anyone who would aid and abet and support a mother who kills her own 3 children, even if she had a psychotic break, there's no excuse for that. Those are the most dangerous kind. Just like we talk about toxic masculinity, which is a good topic to talk about, and we know what that looks like. We've got to talk about toxic femininity, because this is the most perfect example of it. These women are absolutely certifiable and should be kept away from children. If they have children, those children should be put somewhere safe, because these women trying to make excuses for this crazy Clancy bitch, this really worries me.
And you know what's so crazy about this is that they and you hit it on the head. You spoke about they direct this with empathy. No, but we should have like, whoa, wait, hold up, wait a minute, hold up.
What about empathy for the children? What about empathy for the husband who's left? He's the only one who's alive. He's the only living victim of this crime.
You know what I mean? And then you know, with all due respect, it's like we should run on this empathy emotion that listen here, let's be clear. If a man had to do this, what she has done, you will not see empathy. You will not. They will not
Quite
run
rightly.
on that empathy train. They will go, no, he's a man, he did this, he must take responsibility. You know what I mean? But Gareth, you know what's also what's amazing about this thing that it highlighted is that men are asking their girlfriends in America, do you support this lady? And the girlfriends are like, yes. And the guys are breaking up. There's literally guys are just like, I'm sorry, I can't be in a relationship with someone like this.
I don't think a lot of the people who listen to or watch this show or your stuff on Truth Report or hear you on Impact, I don't think a lot of those ladies are going to be supporters of Lindsay Clancy in any which way. But I would suggest that if you are in any way, if you find yourself feeling sympathy for that woman, you have a problem. You have a serious problem. You do not know what evil looks like. You have forgotten the basic distinctions between good and evil, and you are a danger to yourself and to the people you love. And you have to be put away. You have to be clapped in irons or put in a straitjacket and kept away from the rest of society because you're a psychopath.
And you know what's so crazy is like she admitted. Like, let's go to the evidence. Let's not run on an emotional
she's
thing.
Confessed.
Let's look at the evidence. She confessed.
She jumped off the balcony and she's paralyzed now. Apparently, she's in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
that's another reason some of these people are like feeling sorry for her. And she did this. Nobody else was involved. It was her.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? If all the evidence shows, she sent her husband to go to the shop. She knew what she was doing. She planned it out purposefully how things are going to happen. It breaks my heart that we live in a world today where people, when they see bad, they think that's good. But when they see good, they see bad. And it's like you and I, we talk about these things. And I know people are going to be like, Gav Cliff, Andre, what. But at the end of the day, let's look at the facts. Let's put feelings aside. Let's put that aside because that's not going to assist in this matter. Let's look at the facts. And the fact shows that she's guilty. But the mere fact that you have people that gave money to a murderer, $1 million is shocking.
I think it's even more than that.
The world is upside down. It's more than that. The world is upside down.
You got to think about how sick in the head you'd have to be to make a video of yourself supporting this woman and going, I know how we've all been there, you know? And by the way, you can find these videos. There are Reddits, subreddits full of this stuff. It's very disturbing to me. People are always worried about like men being chauvinist or the glass ceiling or unequal pay, or those are all very valid concerns, but they come way after the ability of a person to kill their own kids because they're so self-absorbed, they're so selfish. The world, they want no responsibility, but they want all of the good stuff. They want to be the CEO and they want to have a great life and they want to be able to buy all the products that they need and get the you know, the medicine and the care and the love, and they want to tell you how they're looking for a guy who's a 10 out of 10. But when it comes to responsibility, oh no, we shouldn't be too hard on her. She was going through a psychotic mental health episode. Fuck off.
And you know what, Gareth, man? Like my wife gave birth to 4 children. And yes, there were a bit of struggles in the beginning. But at the end of the day, there are moms that have done amazing things for their children. They sacrifice careers, they're at home, they raising their children up, they putting in the time. And for those moms, I salute 100%. I got your back. But for that percentage of women that is supporting a murderer, for me, I go, we are losing something up here, bro. We are like, are they seeing what you and I seeing, or is there something off? Because how do you give for a murderer that literally slaughtered her children?
Well,
and now all of a sudden
this is probably not a story most South Africans would even be aware of, because it's not a big news story in this country. But I'm not as, you get crazy people. You get people who do terrible things because they are just crazy. They're dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And I suppose there's very little we can do about that. That father went off to the shops thinking, maybe I should get the kids a sweet each or whatever. And next thing he knows, he gets home to this absolute carnage, and the 3 kids that he loved are gone, and his wife is lying on the floor, a story down, with her legs broken, paralyzed, and now you have to go to her murder trial. I mean, this guy's life is ruined forever, and all his hopes and dreams are dashed against the wall. But the thing that worries me is not this crazy one insane woman. It's the people who are supporting her. That's what bothers me.
True.
And I think there's a lesson in this.
Anyway. All right. So yeah, that is a heavy to see this, and you think, well,
it's horrible.
What's going on?
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Tell me about your feelings, because you watched that. Again, South Africa is a common sense place mostly, thank goodness. March and March met with AfriForum. These two, they couldn't be more different. We've been told by the way, the same media has told us that March and March are these terrible, xenophobic, horrible people who just want to chase everyone out of the country because they come from somewhere else to speak a different language or look different or whatever. And they've also told us AfriForum are this massively reactionary, backward Afrikaans group that only looks after Afrikaners, and they want to bring back apartheid. That's what the media has told us about these two groups. And yet these two groups, which are so far apart, came together, had a very productive meeting, and who knows, they might end up working together.
Yeah, what's so amazing about that whole situation is that they literally, what the media has been preaching to South African people for so long, they literally just in one moment come together and they have a conversation about what they want to see South Africa look like. And I love it, because for me, I look at the two organizations, I look at the two groups, and I'm going, this is what we should be actually doing. Coming together. Yeah. Yes, we might not agree on certain things, but actually come together and go, you know what? You want a better South Africa, I want a better South Africa. Let's work on it together. And this truly shook the elite, like, your legacy media. It shook them, because they've been pushing a narrative for years. This South African xenophobia. Like, bro, South Africans are the most welcoming and loving people on planet Earth. Yeah, you'll have your little 0.something% that is like, But at the end of the day, South Africans are actually loving people. We want people to come and experience the South Africa that we have. You know what I mean? So to have, and also this, I was laughed at the other day when I said, I back AfriForum. I like them. And they were like, what? Bro, have you seen yourself in the mirror? I was like, brother, it's not about my skin color, bro. They doing They're doing what communities should be doing. You know what I mean? I said the other day in a video, I said, this was like 2 years ago in a video. I said, yeah, you know what? We were talking about Orania, and I was talking about, you know what, if you look at the infrastructure, they have the second best infrastructure in South Africa. And I went, wait, but these are people that are not depending on government support. They just like doing their own thing. And I realized, like, you know what? Why don't we also start just doing our own thing? We can see that pothole, we can see that water leak. Why must we wait 2-3 months before something happens instead of taking action and just going, no, we'll sort it out ourselves? And so for me, I like AfriForum, and a lot of people don't like it when I say that. And I know this is going to be clipped out, but I like AfriForum, and I like what they're doing for the, and it's not just for Afrikaans people. It's actually, I've heard multiple stories where they've stepped in and assist South Africans, all South Africans.
They got involved in gender-based violence cases with black women who couldn't find support anywhere else. And old Harry Nell, who was the prosecutor on the Oscar Pistorius story, he works for AfriForum's legal division now. He's done a number of amazingly humanitarian and essentially, like, out of the kindness of AfriForum's wallet and heart, supported issues which have had nothing to do with just white Afrikaners. So you cannot level that criticism at them. They've probably done. I mean, they've certainly done more than the ANC Women's League have done for women in South Africa.
For women.
Yeah.
The mere fact that you have this last year with Cyril Ramaphosa, it was a G7. I think it was a G7 last year. And then all of a sudden Joburg gets cleaned up. Then all of a sudden organizations that actually are fighting against gender-based violence, the G20, sorry. And you have this, and you have all of a sudden Cyril Ramaphosa standing up and saying, no, guys, this is a crisis. And I'm thinking, wait, hold up. Just because you've got other countries coming to this country, now all of a sudden it's like, guys, this is a national disaster. And I'm going, whoa. Women have been facing this for how many years, but your own ANC Women's League is not defending. We know for a fact that there's stuff happening in political parties that if those things have to come out into the light, people will be like, but isn't this the guys that are supporting, that's fighting against gender-based violence, or the way you treat women, or, sexual assaults or anything like that? You know what I mean? Like, and so for me, I just think it's hypocritical for you to run on the backs of these organizations running and saving kids' lives and women's lives. And yet here you come and take the spotlight from them when the whole world is going to watch South Africa. Now you take the spotlight. I think that is a spineless response from a government or political party to do that, because these people have been fighting for how many years, to a point where I know some of them were thrown into prison because they're standing up for the children and women. But because guys, you know what I mean? So for me, I just think, man, it's and this is what gets my blood boiling to a point. I know my mother's watching this, so Gareth, I'm behaving myself.
You better be careful.
My mother,
of course.
Yeah. Mom,
no foul language, no foul language, no rude hand gestures. Yeah,
you understand what I mean? So, the level of respect I have for the women in my life, my wife, my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, my daughters, my nieces, it's we are called as men to protect, man. And I'm going to point out to the men, if you raise your hand, if you're shouting and screaming at the women in your life, you got to go check yourself. Because I promise you, if you have a neighbor like myself or like Gareth, and I hear that or I see that, I promise you, it's not going to be a thing of knocking on your door gently and asking you nicely, can you just stop that? No, I'm going to show you what loving a neighbor actually means. Take you outside and quickly talk to you like a man, but in a different way. And for me, here in South Africa, we need to address this and say to the men, if you have an alcoholic problem, if you have a drinking problem, stop it. If you have a porn addiction, stop it. Like, guys, we gotta wake up and smell the coffee here, man. Like, we can't carry on like this. This country deserves men that are acting like men, taking care, taking the responsibility. Stop running to things to quickly get yourself offloaded, because that's not how it should be. You know, I am tired of men having this thing of, yeah, but ish, and no, bro. Like, listen, we all as men, we face stuff, bro. We face stuff. Get men around you that can keep you accountable. They can say to you, hey, but that drinking, I saw Saturday night on het gebraai, that brandy and coke, you had six glasses, bro. Like, hey, let's stop it now. You know, let's talk about it. Because I saw how you spoke to your wife after the first brandy and coke. You know what I mean?
Wait, you can't hear me. Sorry, it was my fault.
There we go.
Everybody
There we go.
everybody has something to do, and everybody has a duty to perform. And
Yeah.
I love that. The whole conversation between you and me has been about what we can do rather than what we expect everyone else to do for us,
To
right?
do. Mm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's
And
way more that's useful, Andre. I think that's we can all leave this conversation today and go into our weekend knowing that the way to fix the world and the way to fix South Africa and the way to fix your own neighborhood and then your house, obviously go in reverse order, is to start with like, what can I do? And you know, you're a great example
Yep.
of that. I mean, no one is perfect, and
Thank you.
we have this bizarre
Yeah.
idea that we have to get everything right all the time, and that's impossible. We're not divine. We don't have infallibility. We're going to screw up a lot, but the fact that
Yes,
it
that's true.
starts with you is like, what can I do? I think that's just absolutely fantastic. That's great.
And I want to add on to that, because, and I agree with you, we're not perfect. We're not preaching perfection here. What we're preaching is common sense and what is the right thing. It's difficult to do the right thing. You know what I mean? It is difficult. But if I can encourage people, just look at what you have today. Be grateful for what you have today. Because yesterday is the past. Today is the present. That's why it's a gift. And the future is unknown. But what we have today, we can actually take that and go, okay, what good can I do with today? You know what I mean? Gareth, it broke my heart. A lady, I think she was 72 years old. She was recommended to us. She's a domestic worker, and when I paid her for the day, and I asked her a question, where do you come from? Like, where do you live? And she said, Andre, I live 2 hours away from Pretoria. She's a South African. She's a grandmother. She's looking after her grandchildren. And I asked her, and I think people, the way we actually can love on one another is asking each other questions. And I asked her this thing, and I said, how many like buses or taxis must you take to get here? She said 4.
Yeah.
It broke my heart to
dude.
such a way, and I thought to myself, what? And afterwards, I didn't say anything to her, but afterwards, and I just thought, she's literally going to use what she earned today. 60% of it is going to transport.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart, because
this is the reality.
It made me realize. It made me realize that what you have, you should be grateful for. But what impact you can have on other people's lives, take that opportunity, you know? Because the way people will know that you have love, and the way people know that you have God and Jesus in your life, is by the way you love on others. And that's the beauty of you know, being in this country, is that my neighbor just across, like literally just across here. I'm looking at their roof. When we moved in, they are a very old Afrikaans couple.
Mm-hmm.
Gareth, that auntie made a milk tart for us, bro. Like, and she brought, bro, I was like, yeah, nah, auntie. And dude, that milk tart was still warm. I was like, what? They brought it. They introduced themselves. I said to my wife, girl, we've got the best neighbors on planet Earth. That auntie brought me a milk tart.
Let me ask you something, because race is still such a preoccupation for some South Africans. I wouldn't say for most of us, because anyone who's grown up in South Africa, race is just part of your reality. You don't think about it all the time. Some people are obsessed with it, especially in the legacy media, politicians. They make race is the biggest thing in the whole world. But how often do you think about that? And how often does race become something that is an important issue to you? How often do you have to think about your own race, other races? How often do you get upset about that stuff? How often does it make you angry? Honestly, like if you take your day, how many hours do you spend, or minutes?
None. I don't even think about it. Me, I'm just like, whatever, bro. Like there's only one race, and that's the human race. So for me, it's like, guys, my wife is white. I'm gonna say it like my wife.
I didn't know that.
If you see,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my wife is white. If you see my kids, you'll be like, hey, bro. But what's so amazing, like race, I don't even think of, bro. Like for me, it doesn't occupy my mind. It doesn't occupy my heart. But I will say this. You do get a group that lingers on it because it's a sense of identity. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Like a lot of people hold on to this thing because it's identity. It's who I am. Where for me, I'm going, no, that's not my identity, because my identity is found in Christ. That's where my identity lies. The mere fact that, growing up, having a dad, fighting for the freedoms I have today, and his daughter and his grandchildren do not look like him. But what's so amazing is the level of love he has for them is unbelievable. It's like, what? You would think he would be the first to show his fist and say, I hate white people. But actually he's the first to say, I love all people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So for me, I truly believe people have grabbed onto this as an identity. And it's like everything else in this world. You know what I mean? Everything else in this world, people are grabbing onto identities, and they're forgetting that actually, no, that's not who I am. This is who I am. There's a reason why men do not understand. Yeah.
Maybe part of the reason they do that is the same reason that, Colin Malachi of the ANC has to wear the LV stuff, because he doesn't have a whole lot of other stuff going on. So he's got to hold on to that, because that only sense of belonging he gets is from, his tribe, his race, his group, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Listen, we've run on for way longer than I thought. Debbie says
so
the
much.
race, I think, is where I'm trying to get to the loo. I just want to show you this quickly, because this has just come to. Thank you, Debbie. That makes everybody smile this morning. Just want to show you this quickly. This has just come through now. I just saw this on social media. Look at this. So here's Lindsay Clancy on the right. Mother kills all three of her children by strangling them to death with exercise bands, claims she's the victim. $1,044,000 raised in GoFundMe. On the left, you've got mother pulls all 6 of her children out of a raging house fire, going back in 3 times, despite burns covering 93% of her body. 0 money raised. That's a sign. That's a sign of how screwed up our society's become. And if there's something we should all be embarrassed about, it's that should be our primary concern.
And I'm reminded of a scripture, Gareth. It says this, that we are living in a time, whatever is seen as good is seen as evil, and whatever is seen as evil is seen as good. And that is clear evidence that this is the world we are living in today, where people, a mother saving her kids, nah, guys, nah. A mother killing her kids, guys, we must support. And it just shows us where the world is at. But it's amazing that we still have people that are living in the light that can say, guys, this is wrong. This kind of behavior, no. That mom has now, it said 3rd-degree burns.
Yeah.
That's there forever.
93% of her body.
93%, yeah. That's there forever. And she went in there and she saved her kids' lives. That is a human being that I will be celebrating because she put her own life on the line for her children. And you do get mothers like it. You do get mothers like it that will sacrifice alles. I don't know about you, Gareth, but my mother, she's an auntie, my bro. She's a rechte auntie. She will tell you, we do it the right way. We do it like this. We do it. My mother throws you with the slipper, my bro. I don't know about you. My mother, when I was naughty, she threw you with the slipper, bro. And like, cup you, yeah, you know that feeling. But that's love, bro. And those are the kind of mothers, that I also want to just salute and say, well done. Thank you. For that mom, thank you. For the other mom, I'm so sorry for you, but nah.
So listen, where can people find you if they haven't already? Because we got to wrap this up, and I don't want them to go away thinking that's all you have to say, because you got plenty to say.
Yeah. Thanks, Gareth. So for me, it's on YouTube. It will be at Common Sense SA, and then on social media, it's Andre Faro. On X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, Andre Faro. Go check it out. But also, I just want to say, Gareth, I want to say this. The level of love I got from Afrikaans people, especially about that Bokkie week, the level of love I got from Afrikaans, I got invited to braais. I don't know if you ever, but I got invited. I was like, at some point, I'm like, these people don't know me, but they're inviting me to a braai.
Yeah.
Like they don't, and it's not the kind of braai where they're saying to you, hey, bring your meat and your dope. No. They say, just come. Just come. And that is the South Africans we have in this country.
All right, dude. I love talking to you. I'm glad we finally got you on the show.
Yes,
and we will be following
so
you on all of your own stuff and on the Truth Report stuff that you do from time to time as well. And we'll catch up soon. Nice to see you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gareth. And also just a big up to your team. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
God bless.
Yeah, good. Thanks, dude. Cheers. All right, that's it. We've got no more time. We've gone over by another 25 minutes, 26 minutes. We try to give you as much as we can on the show, and that's why it doesn't have an end point. The show starts at 6, it ends whenever it ends. And if we've got interesting people on, like Andre, last week's guest, the week before, then we keep talking, man. Got really good feedback on Nikki last week talking about sex, so we probably have to get her back on soon. And if you have suggestions, anyone you want us to have on the show, anyone who fascinates you think would make for interesting conversation, let us know. Just send me an email, gareth@garethcliff.com, or you can send James or J9, just the J and the 9, at garethcliff.com, an email, and we'll get back to you. Monday, we'll be back with another daily briefing, and it's the last day of August on Monday. So subscriptions start on the Tuesday. Also, if you are around this weekend and you want to know what's happening with that mental health symposium that's going on, the Integrative Mental Health Symposium, you can go and check that out in Cape Town tomorrow and in Joburg on Sunday. Joburg Sunday. You can find out more in the description of this episode. We will speak to you next week. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. I'm going to be in Malta from Sunday, just for 5 days. So I'll be back on Saturday next week. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Friday's show. We'll be doing it live from Valletta in Malta, which is always exciting. So stick around. We'll catch you then. Ciao. Oh, before you go, one last thing before we go, and this is just because it was so popular through the show, we got to play it again.
Only one pull from the meat bucket, please. Ew, I don't want it.
Andrea, meat buckets today. Hairy, pink, and moist with a rotten meat bouquet. One pull.